start recording on that one.
Huh?
I want to go start recording on that one. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hey, everyone. We are so excited to be together. Yay! Are you guys excited? We're excited. Even in the midst of all of the crazy chaos that is going on, we have a smile and we have joy. So we want you guys to come on here and join us. We are going to talk tonight about when plans fail. And guess what? They're going to. Your plans are going to fail. I know that's not very encouraging, but it is very, 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 very true. Can you put that light over here, babe? And we're trying to get everything set up for you guys. If you notice, we are in a different environment. And I wonder why. We're going to talk about all of that. Hello. Hey to you guys who are joining us. I know we're on a different night. I know we are, well, at the same time, just a different night. And we're going to have a good time having a great conversation, sharing some of our life circumstances with you all. Because I think so many times people only share the highs. And trust me, we will not be guilty of that. We're going to share the highs, the lows, the good, the bad, and the not so beautiful. So I hope you guys are ready. We're excited. Gil is still getting everything all set up. And how is your day go? How is your day going? How is your week going? Are you guys having a good day? Put it in the chat. And if you're watching this later on, put it in the comments. Also, let us know where you're coming in from because we want to know. We want to know you and we want you to know us better. So let's spend some time. I hear all of our phones kind of going off and making noises, but we are going to get this conversation started, get this time going together. Right now, I want you guys to kind of just tell us where you're coming in from and tell us how you found us. We have so many new subscribers and we're so excited and grateful. We've reached 3,338 subscribers. We've almost reached 300,000 views. Give you guys yourself a round of applause. Thank you to everyone who sees and makes comments and says how much Rich Relationship Refuge is encouraging them. And we are so grateful and excited to be able to be an encouragement to you and to share with you all the things that are going on in our lives. Because I think sometimes we need an example. We need somebody to let us know, hey, this is okay, to help us to be encouraged, to remind us that life is not always going to go as planned. So we're going to be those people. We're going to be the test dummies or whatever you want to call us. We're going to share life with you all. So let's get started. Gil is going to come on over here with me in a couple of minutes. I know it's probably driving him crazy. He's trying to get the lighting right. We can just use that lamp, babe. Yeah. So he is going to give us some light. So let's watch and see what a difference just having a simple lamp, because guess what? We don't have all of our stuff. But look at that. Just using a simple light and taking off the shade makes a major difference. So lighting is everything when you're trying to create content. And here comes the man of our dreams. Hey. So we're going to get started. We hope you guys are all having an amazing day. You want me to scoot over something?
Yeah.
Okay, and give you some, what you need, Miles?
Yeah.
So he is going to come on in. Gil is trying to get everything right.
That's because my lovely wife just hit the button to say go live and I wasn't ready.
I'm sorry. That's how life is. We're talking about wild cards and curveballs and all those things. So
I already tried that, babe.
what, taking it off? You stop turning. See, watch. We are going to have better light, y'all. Ta-da! That better?
Actually, it's not.
Oh, it's not?
The other way looked fine.
Okay.
It's kind of like a little light diffuser.
Okay, is that better?
Yep.
Okay.
That's fine.
So I'm going to come and sit down, and we are going to get this conversation started, and we are going to go over and share with you all what has been going on with us. Well, if you watched last week's live, which was on a Friday, you know that we now reside in San Antonio, Texas. We are excited and grateful. And I did all the paperwork and everything. So Rich Relationship Refuge is officially now a San Antonio based business. So if you need live in person sessions for pre-engaged or marital relationships, we are available now in San Antonio. Yay! 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 We're excited to be here. We're grateful. And amidst all the things that are going on, and trust me, there are a lot. So the topic is when.
Stop.
Oh, we didn't kiss.
You know, we are in a state of flux right now. A lot of moving parts, a lot of things going on. And this is when you will normally get out of your routine.
Yes.
This is when things will go a little bit, we'll call them wild cards. That's what we're calling them. That's what we've been calling all these events that have been happening since we've arrived here to so when we start out our live sessions, we started out with a kiss.
Yes. Mm-hmm. I needed that.
Just to come back to focus. Because you can tell Renee hit the button and just gone. And I'm still setting up lights and stuff. But this is how life goes. This is how relationships go.
Yeah.
So we are glad to be with you guys tonight. We're doing a little bit early because we have another event to go to tomorrow night.
And we figured that we were going to change our night to Thursday night because we're going to give you guys some calls to action for Friday night. And so we felt like it would be better now that we are in a place where we can actually do things and get together with other couples, that we will make it hot Thursday night at 7. And then we'll go live maybe while we're physically doing something. But our lives are going to be now on Thursday night at 7 p.m. So if you're on a date night on Friday, don't worry. We're going to give you some things to do for your date night. So we're going to share all of the insights and all of the things that we've been going through. So let's start off with the first plan that failed.
Well, coming back to where we left off last week.
Yes.
It was we were hot. Yes. And y'all notice our location was a little bit different. We were inside Richie. And Richie is still in the hospital right now.
Yeah.
Just to give you an update.
Did they know he's in the hospital?
Well, they know now.
Yeah. Richie was in the hospital.
And he still is. He had some mechanical issues that is getting treated right now, which has displaced us a little bit. And
if you don't know who Richie is our Winnebago Trend RV
that we travel in and that we live in and that we talk to people in. And it's our one-stop shop for a lot of things. But This is where we are. As you can tell, this is not Richie where we are. Not. We are in a hotel on base. So we are here doing our thing. So this is a time that we are just wanting to still be committed to making these sessions as we said we were going to do and giving you the real update, because yes, we can have a great teaching already parsed together and put together and ready to go. But sometimes life is a little bit better when it's lived in real time. Yes. And with reality mixed in with it, with some of the problems that come that will challenge your relationships. And that's what this tonight's topic is kind of all about.
When plans fail.
Because they will.
No and matter it's how. Not if, it's they will. And that doesn't mean that you shouldn't plan. That doesn't mean that you shouldn't have plans. Can you guys hear us? Because last week, what happened? Can you guys hear us? If you can hear us.
Can somebody put in their chat? Yes, I can hear you. If
are we live?
Yes, we are live.
We are live. It says
live right
okay. So that's good.
And we are been recording.
Well, see, last week we thought we recorded, and for some reason it only recorded like 2 minutes.
Mm-hmm. Thank God we had a backup. Yes. Which is we're doing this with 2 cameras right now. So we got a camera up above that you cannot see, yes, that we're looking at, and we still look like we're looking at both. So that's just one of the tricks of setting all this up. But still, so going back to the topic that we logged on.
When plans fail.
When plans fail, and they will. So how do you adapt to that? You know, just one of the things that we have come to understand and realize that when we are calling our problems that happen when your plans don't go according to your plan, we're calling them wild
Wild
cards.
cards.
Wild cards. Because
Not wow. Wild cards. We're
not
calling them
WOW,
wild cards.
because they happen, and sometimes you feel like you're going wild and you're going crazy, because and I almost felt like wanting to throw a temper tantrum, because this whole move we have been planning for months, and I had it all. I tell you guys, I tried to plan as best I can, and I thought I had all the steps already laid out. We were going to go this, we were going to do that, and it started going. Maybe I should have noticed it when on the drive down from Alabama to Texas that Richie performed great during the whole drive.
He did.
But I still notice, if you don't know your vehicle, you should pay attention to how it sounds normally when you drive it, because when it starts sounding abnormally, you will know something needs to be looked at. And we were driving, and I just noticed a small ticking sound that was just out of the ordinary.
I didn't notice it.
I just noticed it, and I kept looking at temperature gauges and all my gauges and all everything, and everything was thumbs up, no problems, and gas mileage was great. Everything was going great. Even when we got here, and we were still using Richie as our drive around, you know, because we were going to look at places and checking out things, and he formed great. And then 100 plus, I won't say over 100 degrees consistently
Like
straight,
4 days.
and it's still
So we
going
got
on.
here on,
Last Saturday,
and then he started having problems
that following,
because he went back. He went in the hospital on a Saturday.
right? So
So he had basically
no, actually, we got here on a Wednesday or Tuesday or Wednesday. Well, we're see, all these days have merged together for us. Well, anyhow, last Saturday is when we took him in to get looked at, because we didn't like the way things were going. Because we drove him around for a couple of days when we got here, and I didn't that sound kept getting louder and louder. And so this is when your plans start going wild. And so I was like, maybe we should just go ahead and rent a car and park Richie in the RV spot that we had reserved. So we parked him, and thank God we did.
we drove to go and get the rental car.
Drove
Richie to go get the rental car.
Still
got to the dealership.
They said
in the rental car, and the mechanic at the mechanic at the dealership, he said, we cannot let you drive this
away,
because it is we don't understand how you got here. This should have basically fallen apart while we were on the road. It could have been very fatal. It could have been very dangerous. And so we were just like, Lord, well, I think the difference in both of us is that for me, when I heard the news about what was happening with Richie, the way I manage, the way I live, the way I deal with things is that when things bad happen, when things that are bad happen, I automatically begin to think about, oh wow, Lord, we could have died. I'm so glad I came with Gil, because he would have been by himself and he probably would have kept driving. This could have been a fatality. So my immediate response to things is, it could have been worse, and thank God for what didn't happen, and Lord, it's going to get better.
And this is what my reaction was, that I had to learn to embrace this week. It's in 1 Thessalonians 5:16 and 18. It says, rejoice always, pray continuously, giving thanks in all circumstances, for God's will in you. Jesus Christ habit. Develop the habit of rejoicing, praying, and giving thanks daily, regardless of the circumstance.
Because what was the first thing that came to your mind?
My plan. I just wanted it to go as planned. It was almost like having a temper tantrum where you're like, this is not how this is supposed to go. And I started getting mad, and I started getting frustrated, and anxiety, and all these other emotions get mixed in when things don't go your way. Almost just like when you were a child and you have a temper tantrum. You know, God, this ain't how it's supposed to go. You're supposed to be in line with my plan. Well, little did I know, things will orchestrate or happen that will make you rethink and reevaluate your position in this relationship with the Lord. Sometimes we think he works for, sometimes I do. I'm gonna confess, I'm gonna say it all out. We going live, so I'm just gonna put it out there. Sometimes I think God works for me. I know that sounds crazy, and I may be by myself, but I'm just gonna say sometimes I think God is supposed to get in line with my plans and what I had idea of what should
I
happen.
think if we're all honest, I think we all, even though we may not say it, our actions say it. It's nothing bad's going to ever happen. Everything is going to go as planned. You know, everything that I write down is going to come to pass. While writing down things and having plans are good, we have to also make sure that they are in pencil. Because one of the things that I've adopted is she or he who is flexible will not easily be broken.
See, and one thing I can say about Renee, Renee handles adversity really well. She does. When things happen, she just goes with the flow. It's almost like she's jello. And that wasn't a rhyme. I didn't mean to put that in some lyric and some bars, but she just goes with the flow like she's jello. I mean, she just adjusts. And I had to, and I started looking at her like, you ever had that happen where you look at the person that you're the closest to and like what they do irritates you? What they do and how they respond to all, I want you to be like me. But no, that's not her makeup. That's not her dynamic. And I finally was just praying, that's my default when I start getting those feelings, and I have to fall back on praise and worship like you should do, because it gets you out of yourself, it gets you out of your place, it gets you out of your mindset to the point to where you can say, okay, let me forget about my situation and what's going on. Worship on the Lord, worship to the Lord, worship about what's going on in the midst of wild cards happening. And then you'll see that the Holy Spirit will give you peace beyond all your mind can
Understand.
comprehend and conceive. It won't make sense.
Right.
And Renee must have already been manifesting that, because I was not. I will be honest. I was for a few days just frustrated, and I had to work through some things personally, internally. And we always talk about that in
The
these
long journey.
relationships, that when you are going through things and you have to be tested and tried by the things you say you believe, it's a whole different response that you may have to say, okay, I know you say what you believe and what you do, but when it's time to hit the field and start playing the real game of life and start doing the things that God has put on us that requires of us, how do you respond?
Right.
How do you respond?
Yeah.
And I will be the first to say, in the initial phase, I didn't respond very well. I
And the funny thing is that in day to day life, Gil is the calm, lay back, easygoing, nothing bothers him person. Whereas I'm the opposite. I am more likely to, um, I'm more reactionary when things are just mundane. Whereas when things, and I thank God that we're the opposite, because we both manifest the same temperament in different scenarios. Because when things are hot, I'm calm. When things are cold, he's calm. And so I think the beauty of a relationship is that the other person is going to bring something that you don't have. And you have to be able to appreciate that, and not, like you said, I want you to be like me.
Do you have that happen in your relationship where you want your spouse to react and respond like you do? You know, sometimes that can be good, and it's called gift projection.
It is.
Is where you see something that you have, or you project what you expect, your expectations and standards onto your spouse or your significant other, if you're dating, or your boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever the status of your relationship is. You'll start projecting the responses that you think they should have that you already have in yourself.
And you know why that's dangerous?
Why is that?
Because you only have 24 hours, you only have so much energy. So if I'm attaching my energy to controlling your behavior, how am I navigating what I need to be focused on to help us get to our goal?
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that, like we talked about that before, things get done when there's two people, when you're working together. So when I see that Gil is clenching his jaw, and I see that he's getting um
Out of my normal.
out of his, when I see him, because I kept saying, babe, come to the light, come to the light. Don't go into that. When you know your spouse, when you know the other person, you know what their bend is. You have to be the person that's gonna say, you know what? Hey, I know how you feel. I feel the same way. But you know what? I also know that God has proven himself. Something the Lord said to me during this whole thing was, He said, I said I'm good. I didn't say it was gonna be easy. And I think so many times we think that the plan that God has for our life is just going to be, no difficulty, no adversity, everything's going to go as planned, no hiccups. And one of the things that Gil said was, and I felt it too throughout this time, when we have a plan and things don't go as planned, why do we automatically think that something is wrong? But when we're doing nothing and everything is going as planned, we don't doubt that that's wrong. I believe that we are the most like Christ and more so walking in his plan when we are uncomfortable. I think that when we're comfortable, it's when we are more likely to be doing what we want and not what the Lord wants. So I think that it's important that we don't question. One of the things I was talking about, you're talking about this, about don't allow the process to eliminate you. We want the results. We want the testimony without a test. We want to have all these things happen in our life, but God is saying you got to go through some stuff. He's made it clear. I mean, the longer I read the Bible, now when I read the Bible, I see there's so many examples of people who are just like me, flawed and damaged and broken and have disabilities and shortcomings and illnesses and childhood of origin issues and trauma. But guess what? God still used those people. And so if he used them, then guess what? He can use us. And so to think that life is going to be full of just everything going right and nothing ever happened wrong. But you have to expect. James 1 says, consider it pure joy when you find yourself in difficult and adverse situations, knowing that it produces patience and perseverance, so that you will be mature and equipped for every good work. You know what that says to me? Stuff gonna happen, and what you gonna do when it happens?
See, and I love James. He's my boy, and I love that's one of the first books that I learned to read, and I did a teaching on, and I love it so much. But that frustrated me because it's like, no, no. You ever argue with the Bible or you argue with something that you read because it goes against what you have already been doing and embracing for a lot of years of your life, and now all of a sudden you hear something that contradicts way you thought was right.
And it's the way you feel. I think it contradicts when the Bible contradicts how we feel. We have to realize that actions lead, feelings follow. And so many times we want our feelings to lead us and the actions to follow, and it doesn't. If we're letting our feelings lead us, our feelings are going to lead us sometimes places we don't want to go or we can't come back from.
Right. And so just to bring you guys up to speed, we got a little off track, but this is where we're at right now. Richie is still in the hospital, still getting worked on.
Yes.
We have no idea when he's coming back.
Yes.
So we have had to make adjustments with that wild card and say, you know what, we got to keep it moving because we still have some transitioning to go on. We still got to get the rest of the family here and get settled and find a place to live and all those things in spite of the situation that is going on with the vehicle. So we have made the adjustments. We re-vectored some stuff. And so now we think we secured a place to live and we're still working on that right now. Once we get that done, we'll give you an update on that.
Yeah.
Once Richie is out of the shop, whatever happens with him, we'll tell you exactly
I can tell y'all what's going to happen with Richie. Y'all want me to tell y'all?
Well, we'll save that. But this is not prophecy time. We'll save it for
prophecy is reality.
Well, we'll save it for when it happens. So that's where we're at right now. And so we still have things that we're still progressing towards and other things. Because when you think about it, if you have every issue and every circumstance that you have in your life, if you have a major change in your life, you have to break it up into small, manageable pieces.
Yes.
And when you're moving cross country, it has to be a small, manageable piece. There are multiple things that you have to do. Some things are dependent upon other things, and then some things are totally independent that you can still continue to pursue, like what we had to do in this time, So that's where I think the planning that we do and that we do together and we talk about that comes in to actually help you resolve some of the situations and the wild cards that actually happen.
And the thing that I can say that I'm so grateful for, I know that if it were not for our relationship with the Lord, a lot of the things that we've experienced would be different because our foundation would be different. I realize, and one of the things, and we keep telling you guys, you got to pray, you got to spend time with God, you got to walk in humility, you have to be kind, you have to, when you see someone at their lowest, if I see that Gil is struggling, for me to point that out to him or make him feel bad about that is not, that doesn't make me a safe place. So we have to make sure that when the other person is at their lowest or at their most fragile, that we encourage them and lift them up. We get a lot of questions about, well, because sometimes we show our shorts and it's just Gil talking, and sometimes we show shorts and I'm talking. But it's normally we take the long content and break it down. Well, we get people who make comments about, well, who's doing this and who's doing that. We would not be together for 38 years if we did not develop some systems and processes and ways of doing things that make this work. And so that's all we're trying to do, is to share that, because it would be really easy for us to show you after everything is done and not take you through the back end. And I think that what's missing in the world today is the reality that marriage is hard. Life is full of wild cards, and without Jesus Christ and having a relationship with God, although it may look good, it does not have the ability to stand the test of time.
So even piggybacking off of what Renee just kind of described, when she actually helps me, when she said I was going down a dark place or going down a dark road, that was me falling back into myself, that lust of the flesh, the things that I knew that I felt comfortable with. That's what I was falling back into. And that's where you have to say, you know what, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do something like what Psalms 46 talks about, where you have to go and say, I'm going to be still.
Yeah.
And that's what I had to do. I had to rewind and say, okay, what Gil knows and doesn't always work out. Most of the time it don't work out. A lot of times it does. But sometimes when it doesn't, or I come to the end of myself, and sometimes God will allow you to come to the end of yourself in order to get your attention enough to where you are working and trying and doing things in your own power, that until it fails or until you come to the end where you just don't, you have to throw your hands up because you have no idea what to do next, then that's when he says, okay, now I have your attention.
And I think for me, like where Gil is struggling with um his plans not going the way he wants to, the thing that I have been struggling the most with is, Lord, this is how we normally do this. We normally come in, we get there, we do the research, we get there, we find a place, we buy a house, boom, boom, boom. That's how we normally do it. Well, guess what? If you do what you've always done, you're going to get the same results. And so historically, when we live someplace, we normally move at least two times
in that place.
And it's because we don't take the time to really get to know the area. And so we're doing something different. And that has been a struggle for me, because I love change. And I love, and me loving change is a problem, because sometimes loving change means you don't commit. And so while Gil is struggling with basically the little boy inside of him, I'm struggling with the little girl inside of me. And so while he's made me feel safe, he's made me feel protected, he's made me feel provided for, that's what allowed me. Because I think sometimes people think that when you have a strong personality, you have to make a decision to submit and surrender. It doesn't just happen. And Gil can't make me. And so I think a part of what, through this whole journey, God is always working things out in us individually as well as a couple. And so I'm grateful that God has put me with someone that his strengths are my weaknesses and my weaknesses are his strength. Because through this whole journey of this new transition in our life, we're both growing and learning, and we're depending on the Lord, and we're depending on each other
in new ways. And when you have new experiences, there are going to be new opportunities for you to do things in a new way. You can do things like we just said, we moved cross country multiple times before, and we follow that pattern, and it normally worked out pretty seamlessly. No real major wild cards or anything. But because all of a sudden things changed, or that plan was changed, or it was altered, now all of a sudden you got to adjust. You got to do something different. And when you're forced to do something different, that's when God will show up to you in a different way than what you've never seen before. And that's something that has been unnerving. I'm gonna be honest, because it's new, and anything new for me is like, I, 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 I don't like new, y'all. I don't. But I also know new is good.
Yes.
So while I may not like it physically, and it may manifest in all these different things that happen to you physically, you may not sleep, you may not have an appetite, you may have a headache, you may just be lethargic. I'm just saying, these are all the things that I've been experiencing. So when that happens, that's when you can say, okay, this is something that is new. And I can either look to the good, because that's what we did after we kind of replayed it. You can replay some things like a Monday morning quarterback. That's what I call it. After a situation has happened, you replay it. And one thing that Renee, we did, and she kind of led it off, was let's talk about the good. Just like she mentioned about the mechanic telling us, I have no idea how you guys got here.
And you know what I loved about this, and this is something that was new for us. Gil was like, tell me what you're thinking. Tell me what's going on. When you heard that, what went through your mind? Instead of him just automatically assuming that I was thinking what he was thinking, he stopped and he said, hey, what you thinking? What's going on in your mind? And so when he shared with me what was going on in his mind, I was honest with him what was going on in my mind, and it made me appreciate him more because one, he was like, I need to see this from a different perspective, but also I got to hear his deep dark fears and concerns. And I think that that's something that people don't realize. It's you have to evaluate your experiences. When you don't evaluate your experiences, you're not going to learn from them. So every time you have an experience, if you don't sit down and evaluate it and ask questions and think about, well, why this happening? How could I have done something different? If you don't do that, you're going to keep going through the same thing over and over and over again. So when we talk about the long journey inward, this is something we practice every day in every facet of our life. Because if you don't evaluate what you're going through, you're going to go through it again and again and again.
And so in that evaluation process, we always want to give takeaways. And one thing that we talked about, and Renee wrote it down, that was, before you make major decisions, seek God first.
Yeah, pray about it.
Is this a God prioritized decision?
Mm-hmm.
And pray about it with the persons that it is going to affect: your significant other, your husband, your wife, boyfriend, girlfriend, extended family members, whoever that is going to be affected by decisions that you have to make. You need to consult them, consult God first, and then consult them about their perspective and how they see things going, so you can factor in all these things as you're making a decision before you move out.
Yes.
Now, I understand some people are do it now, figure it out as we go along.
That can be really hard, because I think about, like, for me and Gil, we've done this before and this has been hard for us. But just imagine if we would have brought the other part of our family with us, where this would be, it could have been devastating.
I would have went back home. I'm like, I'm done.
Yes, because
it ain't working, y'all. I'm going back to Alabama. We just gonna pick up where we left off.
And so I'm grateful to God that He said, no, you two go ahead and get everything done. And I'm grateful for what it's done in our marriage as a couple. I'm grateful for what it's done for me as an individual, for what it's done for Gil as an individual, but the what it's doing for us, for our family, not just for us. Because again, Gil said it, the decisions you make don't just affect you. And so if us sharing this is going to help someone else understand that when you make a decision, you have to understand that you got to seek God, you have to talk to each other, you have to be prepared, not just emotionally and spiritually, but financially. I am grateful to God that we live beneath our means. I was watching the episode on Dear Wifey, Future Wifey, and they were talking about marriage and money. You have to have your financial house in order when you're making big moves like this. I'm grateful that God has taught us to live with margins. We don't live at the top of our budget, we live at the bottom of our budget. And so when things happen, you're not like, oh my gosh, I got to call this person or that person, because God gives you wisdom in how to do things. But if you don't make the decisions in the back end. So when the opportunity, I always say opportunity needs preparation. There's things that we didn't know God was preparing us for this, so that when this happened, we're not like emotionally, physically, and financially stressed and strapped. So I'm grateful for that. And so let God teach you how to be a good steward. Let God teach you how to wait on Him. Let God teach you how to be generous. Let God teach you how to be kind. Let God teach you how to be patient. And all those things are going to have to be tested.
And so during that testing, one thing that you can do and that you have to do that we have learned during this experience of all these wild cards being played is you have to use positive speech with each other and positive talk with each other, because there's nothing worse to be around someone that is gloom and doom in the midst of a bad situation. Imagine a boat sinking and somebody in the boat saying, "Oh my God, this boat is sinking, y'all," and you trying to bail out water and make the boat float, and they up there constantly telling you that the boat is sinking.
But they're not helping to get the water out either.
The only help that they're providing you is a play-by-play of how bad this situation is. Well, if you're in the middle of a situation, you know how bad it is.
Yeah.
You don't need somebody giving you a color commentation on what's going on when you see it firsthand, when you're experiencing it firsthand.
You need someone to remind you of what could be and what will be. And not that you're not being realistic, but when you already have something heavy, don't add more weight to the bag. And sometimes, ladies, we think that it's, but I told you, and if you would have listened to me, that doesn't, again, we talked about this before. You have to fight to lose. Just because you were right, it doesn't mean that what you're saying is right. Creating a home, the Bible says a man it's better to be on the rooftop than to be in the house with a contentious woman. We have to make sure that we are managing, even when our household is a hotel or an RV, we have to manage our emotions so that it's an environment where it can be a healthy, safe place for everybody involved and not just ourselves.
So another thing that you can actually do is develop and process and practice those fruits of the Spirit.
Love, joy, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, meekness, and my favorite one, self-control. We say that we love God and we say that we love the Bible, but when things happen, we're in marriage ministry. So, people talk about, yeah, when this happened, he made me cuss him out, or when this happened, she made me. When someone bumps you, they didn't control what was inside of you. All they did was gave what was inside of you an opportunity to come out. So what we have to do is we have to make sure that we are filled with the Holy Spirit and the fruits of the Spirit by reading, praying, fasting, being quiet, being still. Sometimes the best thing to say is nothing. Sometimes it's just your head on the shoulder or rubbing on the back. You don't always have to say something. There's lots of ways to be kind. And if you have not learned how to control your mouth, just be quiet.
So those are some of the things that we are talking about. And one scripture that I learned when I first started, started reading the Bible, Psalms 119. You notice I don't ever give you the number. Go read it.
Read the whole book.
119.
Not a verse.
Yeah. And it was one of the first scriptures that I had my family memorize and actually learn. I have hidden your word
in my heart so that I won't sin against you.
Because when you do that, that is going to give the word the opportunity to and the time to come up. If you haven't put it in, you can't expect it to come out when wild cards happen. When things happen, you're going to be looking for a lifeline. You're going to be looking around for things that will give you peace. And peace doesn't come in this human vessel.
It's the Lord.
It can't. It's impossible because we are frail. We have damage. We have our warranty is worn out.
We have a source, and so therefore we need a source. If God is my source, I can't be Gil's source. If God is Gil's source, Gil can't be my source. Now we can support and encourage one another, but at the end of the day, we both have to go to the Lord. One of the things that is important to remember is praying together, reading together. We spend time apart with the Lord, but during this whole time together, we've been spending a lot more time just praying and the
meditating.
And one of the things that Gil said when we went to go look at the place today, we were talking the other day, and he said, "Well, what would it be like to just live on a perpetual vacation? Could you imagine what that would be like?"
You ever been on a vacation and you're like, man, you go into a place and you like it and it's beautiful. It's not yours, but you're just visiting a place, or whether it's a person, a friend's house, or just a different,
Or you're on
something
vacation.
different than what you're normally experiencing. You just enjoy the environment. Just live life on a perpetual vacation. Have that same feeling that you have, like, oh, this is nice. Okay, okay, okay. I can deal with this. I like this. Imagine that every day.
Yeah. And the thing is that in life, you can have everything all planned out and all written down, but be open to the God of the universe making himself seen by sometimes changing all of your plans. And I think that it's easy to trust God when everything goes the way you want, but do you trust God when things don't go the way you want? And I'm grateful, and I would do it again. When we first got here, the first thing we did was we found a church. That was the first thing we did. And I think that it's important that you prioritize what's your priority.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm grateful that we've had a safe place for us both spiritually to go and be refilled and be, recentered. And that's important. When you move to a new place, find a place where you can go and worship, and not just worship, but to serve. Because I really believe that as we've been serving each other, it's given us a sense of purpose and serving all of you. We could just be like, I got too much going on in my life. My life is crazy right now. I'm going to talk to them later. No, there is nothing more rewarding than serving and giving. And it's easy to give out of a full cup, and we should give out of a full cup because God is pouring into us and we're pouring into you. But, God really, it means when we come here with a broken and contrite heart. So just know that as we make this commitment to continue to spend time with you, it's not out of our schedule is just so free. We just got so much time. No, it should be a little bit of an inconvenience or a sacrifice.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you're struggling with, well, I want to do this for God, but I don't have time, you make time for what's important to you. And if this doesn't show you anything except that you are so important to us that we stop what we're doing to share with you what we're going through, not just the good stuff, but all of it, then I pray that this time that we spend together each week reminds you that you are more than enough and you're valuable, and that God loves you so much that he was like, I'm going to have these two right here share stuff that may help you. And I think that's the mistake we make. We underestimate the value of our story. We underestimate the value of us just sharing our life with people, because the things that we think that are just every day to somebody else, they might be, oh, wow, I never even thought about that.
Right.
So find a way to serve, find a way to give back, because even in your lowest point,
God when your plans fail.
Yes, when your plans fail, because guess what? It's not if they plan, they will fail. It's just a matter of realizing that God is good, and his plans are wonderful, but they're not easy, and things aren't always going to go as planned. But it doesn't mean that it's not God.
So we hope you got something out of this tonight.
Yeah.
We wanted to take a little bit of time to give you an update on what's going on. And as we move down this road, or this new road, I should say, and as these wild cards get played and we deal with them, and as they come, we'll let you know where we're at, what we're doing, how we're doing.
And we'll share.
And we appreciate all the ones who chimed in and comments and all those things.
We love you guys.
We appreciate it. So
we read all your comments.
We do.
Something we want to challenge you to do, because we're going to give you guys an assignment every week. So one of the things we talked about was being a tourist in your own city. So we want to challenge you to do something in your city that you have always noticed and you didn't do before.
Like when people come to your town to visit and you take them somewhere or show them something, why don't you look at it with new eyes and you go do it for yourself? Because you may see something that you didn't see before, and you may enjoy something you already took for granted. The whole thing of us being back here is we are not going to take the place for granted.
Or the people that we love.
That's
why we won't be here on Friday nights no more. We're going to be here on Thursday nights. Remember that. We're going to be here on Thursday nights.
So we're changing. So we hope you got something out of this. We just want to jump on for a few minutes. We love you guys. We appreciate all the comments. If you do have comments, you can put it in the chat. If you're watching this later, put it in the comments still. We read it, we review it, and we do respond to them. primarily Renee, because she's always on there looking. I'm usually driving, but she'll be actually doing it and sharing it with me as we're doing.
And thanks for all the birthday wishes for Gil. We love you guys. Thank
appreciate
you.
all those messages. I thank you for the kind words and those things. So, but the bottom line is, if you got something out of this, help it and share it with somebody else, because that's why we are putting it out there, not just for ourselves, not to build numbers and all those types of things,
but to build people and relationships.
Because we know people are going through real things, because we see it and we get the comments and we see the things that are behind the scenes, but we know and we tell you that there's help out there. We know people are out there. And so that's what we see, and that's what we want to contribute to. We just want to put our little 2 cents in where we can and try to help out those that we can. And if you got something out of it, we appreciate it. Remember to like, share, subscribe, all that stuff you do with social media.
Yes. And I'm going to share another video this week of me having my hormone replacement therapy. I talked about it a little bit. I'm going to show the video this week for that.
And I have no comments on that one.
Yes, he does. You're going to hear him commenting in the video.
So we love you guys. We'll see y'all next week. Well, we'll figure out next week, because we got another wild card being played next week, but we already know it's coming. So we'll figure out how we're going to do this whole streaming thing.
It's going to be different.
So we'll see. We'll try to figure it out.
And we love you guys. And so we'll see you next Thursday at 7. It's going to be a different setting again. So for those of you who don't like change, come on, we're going to help you with that.
Remember, we are stronger together.
And we love you, and you're more than enough. See you next Thursday at